Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us and thanks for a great weekend last weekend. Hope you enjoyed if you joined us. Tonight is Q&A and anything goes. So be it for you, clients, whatever you'd like.
All right. And go ahead, Letty and Barbara.
Hey, Letty.
Hi guys, how are y'all doing?
Hey, good.
Okay, Greg, I have a question. So now I'm back at work,
Yeah.
and there was I think before the school year ended, there was a lady that I had given her a little bit of the oils of the Sandophon healing technique because she had a lot of cough, right? And when we talked about her, we had said that, well, you had told me that she had some really big cords because she worked at a prison. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay, so I just kind of want to know where like she's at because she's still coughing a little bit. Like, okay, so it's improved a lot, right? Like she's not
It has
coughing
improved?
like, yes, it has.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's improved. Now she's not coughing like as much and as long because they used to be like these almost like they were similar to like asthma attacks, but she was never diagnosed with that. Mhm.
I mean,
Would it be time
the
to do
issue,
the stinky oil?
the issue is that, like, because of where she works, it's going to be always need maintenance for cleaning up her energy body, cleaning up cords.
She's retired from
it's
there,
just-
she's retired from the
Oh,
prison
she
system.
is?
Yeah, she's retired.
Yeah. Have her do, did you give her Solomon's hyssop?
Yeah, she has all 7.
All 7? Have her really focus a bit more on Solomon's hyssop and on her navel, if it's simple, and if she can do like a pattern, like all the lower centers, like the navel, spleen, Mingmen, sex, basic. Have her do that. Like here's the issue, like when, especially when it's somebody that has done the kind of work that she does, it's been, years or sometimes decades of people grinding on certain spots. And there's contamination, but there's almost like a certain kind of conditioning for how the chakra functions. And she looks cleaner than she did, but like you can almost see like there's this like little it almost looks like this little thing that's kind of flat and black that goes like kind of through her, like right about the height of the navel. And that's actually not surprising given the kind of work that she has, because you have a couple of different things here. Like, so for one, the navel is the center that regulates the lower centers. And it wasn't so much for her, but the people that she was dealing with, a lot of times that's what they're coming from, and they're coming at her in that same spot. So over a period of time, that area gets hit kind of hard. And when somebody's being like aggressive or violent or and it's not like physically, but they could be sitting and just grinding on her in their mind. It's going to hit the basic chakra, it might hit the sex chakra, it might hit the spleen, but it's really going to hit the navel. And you could say, have you ever met somebody who a lot of their like interaction with other people, a lot of their, like I call it like the mode of operation, is they need to like set people straight a lot. You know what I mean? Like, even if in a conversation you said like, the sky is blue, and they'd go, really, it's actually light blue. And technically it's not really blue, it's da 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 da. And they spend like 5 minutes setting you straight when you're just making some casual conversation. It could be something even as light as that. But in situations with like social conduct, or in this case, it probably has to do with whether or not they felt that they deserve the penalty, or who knows, whatever. A lot of that comes from the navel, like that, that like push. And so it like, you could just boil it down. It's like when it's the need to set somebody straight, and she's been dealing with people that have that towards her. You know what I mean? So like, she's going to get hit in the navel a lot. So sometimes those coughs, like there's a lot of different kinds of coughs. And with COVID, it would have been really easy to go to like a COVID thing or a spasmodic thing. But like, I just see her energy body like got conditioned from what she did. And it's not that she was doing anything bad, but she was just surrounded by people that were always coming at her, be it that they were physically or verbally coming at her. It's just there. You know what I mean? Different kinds of jobs have this potential. And like a psychologist has a different version of this, you could say. And not so much at the navel, but still a different version of it. And so it's like you're having to rehab that navel, and part of her coughing is actually coming from like her gut rather than like her chest or her throat. Like like sometimes when you see me cough on there, it's actually coming from my gut, not my chest or my lungs. Yeah.
Okay, so then,
Yeah, like let me give you another example. Is when I used to do a lot of corporate work, I coughed a lot, and it was because I was telling people things that they didn't like or didn't want to hear. They were paying me to tell them those things, but when I told them, they didn't really like it, so they would push back on me really hard. And and I would say it as soft as I could, and not confrontational or not accusatory or something, but it still was there. And it just, when that energy hits, like it's not even necessarily the solar plexus. It's a lot of times it's like the navel, the basic, the sex, but you'll fill it up in the solar plexus, and it's still like this, like kind of gut cough. Like when I feel like sometimes, I mean, it's not every time, but like a lot of the coughs, they feel like they come more from here than here. She looks like she has that kind of cough.
okay,
Yeah, because like what you described at first, like mentally, I would go, that's spasmodic cough, that's in the throat, it's, yada, yada, yada. And that all that's looking a lot better. But she still needs time of like cleaning that up a little bit. It looks way better than it did a while ago, though. Like before, I couldn't even see that band around her navel because her energy body was so congested by stuff from other people. Now I can actually see it quite easily.
yeah, and last night I did some pH on her,
Yeah.
just to kind of help out. So do you think like,
So with that, don't sweep towards her. Like you kind of do that thing. I think I've talked you through this a few times. Like it's like you're standing close to their body and you're sweeping out away from her. Like you just need to keep sweeping things out of her field. Like it's like so much pressure is coming in, like you clean it up and it just allows more to come in. Like you have to keep sweeping like outward. That's what incense is really good for. Like, give her some incense too. Incense is really good for that. You know, the stuff that's in your field that's like potentially coming in. I mean, that's why we were doing the things with all the different incenses, was to clean up the things that are just not in you, but the things that are projected or lingering in the outer part of your aura that are working their way in.
So for the incense, Solomon's hyssop would be ideal as well.
Solomon's hyssop or chakra root cleanser. Honestly, any of them would probably work, but Solomon's hyssop or chakra root cleanser.
Okay, I'll have her try that. So do we want to wait a little bit more before we do the stinky oil?
She might not need it. I'm glad to provide it for you, but she might not need it.
Okay, great.
You're talking about the asafoetida?
Yeah, you told me to mention to you about
We'll get you
stinky oil.
some just so when you want to use it on her, you can. But yeah, like if you clean up the navel a bit, you might not need it.
I'll clean up, I'll keep working on her navel.
I'll get you the stinky oil so you can smell how stinky it is.
Okay, so should
And
I
just
open
to let
that
you know,
outside
I
or
have a
inside the
whole
house?
kilo of it. So if you ever need some for the rest of your life, I'm your source.
Okay, should I open that outside the house or inside?
Probably outside.
It's that bad?
Uh-huh.
It's pretty strong. And I mean, it smells like if onions had a bad day.
Oh my God.
I have onion oil too, if you wanna mix the two. Samantha has banned me from opening that in the house, by the way.
Mhm.
It's that bad, wow.
Therapeutically, it's not good for me.
It's very cleansing. It's very, very cleansing to the body, but it's very good for the immune system. But you know how onions smell? Think about it's concentrated onions.
Okay, thank you. Greg, I have another question about my brother, but it's a little bit
Huh?
weird what's going on with him. So I don't know, I just want to bring it up to you and then maybe you can think about it and then get back with me. Because
Sure.
it's a little weird how he's describing it to me. He says that it's like a feeling that he gets kind of like right at the solar, maybe a little bit above. And it's a feeling that comes up the chest and then it kind of stops like right, like center of the chest. And then he feels inside like something is expanding, like if something's gonna burst, but then he says, then it goes away. And he says that he kind of gets scared when he feels that. He's not sure what it is, and he's not really sure how to describe what's going on also, but that's the best he said he could do.
Is he having anxiety? Excuse me, anxiety or panic when it's happening?
He said he's getting scared, like he said he was getting it like once every 2 weeks. Now it's happening once a week, and he says he gets scared. So I'm imagining that he's probably getting anxiety. Maybe he thinks like it's like he's not gonna be able to breathe, or I haven't seen him like actually go through it, but that's just kind of what he was concerned about.
Maybe an anxiety attack.
Okay, so like some kava kava would be good for him.
Kava kava, clary sage, lemongrass, neroli, petitgrain, any of those would help. Spikenard. Sometimes anxiety attacks are sometimes anxiety attacks are things going on in the body, but like there are like mental things that can trigger anxiety. And so like let me give an example. When we make a decision, for example, some of the decision is conscious and some of that decision is unconscious. And the difficulty is that they don't always agree with each other. like, you know, our conscious thought, we might talk ourselves into it, or we go, oh, this is what's going on, but unconsciously we're doing something different, or we feel something very, very different, right? And so when the conscious mind and the unconscious mind are, you could say, not in agreement, the byproduct is anxiety. Then the other thing is, another source of mental anxiety is not like feeling out of control about the future, like not being able to control the future, which none of us can, but you could say we have a little bit of like the illusion that we are controlling the future, right? And so when reality kind of sinks in a little bit, sometimes people have to acclimate to it, and sometimes people don't. And that can be a little rough. Like, I mean, it can be a little rough. And so it could also be a little bit of, he's feeling his future's a little not unstable, but out of control. Which it's that way for all of us all the time. You know, we do things to kind of keep things relatively in control, but you know, we're never really completely in control. And so sometimes when that really strikes a person, it will produce a lot of anxiety.
It'd be also because he's anticipating that he'll be moving out pretty soon, because I think his son
I
is almost
suspect
about
it's
ready to take
totally
him.
because of that. Yeah, I would
And
say
he's
it's
been here
totally-
with like my sister and I feel like he's been not babied, but like taken care of in a different way that he has been before.
Yeah.
And he gets a lot of attention from us. And then I think he's gonna go from that to like,
yeah. It's okay if you can't. I suspect it's a lot of that. Like this is what I would say about it. It's a little bit of a coincidence that it's happening like while that's on the horizon, and it doesn't mean it's always the case, but it would be a coincidence. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
yes, it is.
Yeah.
As you were explaining, I was thinking maybe that's what it is. I'm thinking maybe he's
Yeah,
experiencing that.
I almost will. I mean, just as like all the years of doing therapy, it's always like something like, you know, when somebody has anxiety, if you start asking them questions, it's usually something that's unresolved, some unprocessed, or something going on in the body. It's almost every time you can pinpoint like, oh, they're having respiratory issues. Oh, they have an endocrine issue. Oh, that, you know, like you can kind of start going down the list. And then when it's not something physical, you start going, okay, well, tell me what's going on. There's usually some decision that they've made that, or having to make that they're like at odds with, or something's on the horizon that's like feels like out of control or unresolved. And so the thing is like the calmer you can keep them, the more they can make the transition in that situation, and the more that they can like resolve it and move through it. But it's usually not just out of the blue. Like it's almost never out of the blue. Like I knew this one person one time, she had really, really bad panic attacks. And, you know, she was going through a divorce and didn't know what her future was going to be like. And she was just, man, she was having panic attacks all the time, like to the point where every time she would have them, she would call like an ambulance or, you know, something. And, you know, because panic attacks, it feels like you're dying. Like, I mean, it feels like you are in the middle of the dying process. And so as time went by and like her lifestyle got a little bit more defined and a little bit more stable, all of a sudden the panic attacks stopped. Like it's just like they just went done. And it's because now all of that was resolved, you know. And so the thing is like in the middle of it, you can't say, oh, this is about the future and you gotta I mean, they're in the heat of it. Like you try to keep them as stable as possible as they go through it so that they get to the other side. Because the thing that's really going to resolve it is them resolving it in the external world. And so you just try to keep them as stable as possible and not treat it as like that is just a symptom. It's just you're just kind of providing some therapy until they get to a better place. Same example, same idea, like when you're dealing with a woman who's pregnant and is having back pain. The thing that's going to resolve that back pain is having that baby, not treating the back all the time. Treating the back helps, but until she has that baby, it's not going to get resolved. Same idea.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Definitely. Yeah, because that's what when you started saying some, I was thinking, you know what, I bet that's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, that's a little bit even like when we were putting him on the anise and all that stuff to balance out his nervous system. Some of it was to help like kind of prophylactically treat that, like, before it really got a thing, because, he's going through something. So you just got to support him going through it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, like I've been giving him mainly just the Bayloral because I noticed like if I was trying to give him like 1 day anise, 1 day Bayloral, but
Mhm.
if I skip the Bayloral, his left underarm pit wakes up real swollen because he's got it kind of big.
Stick with the Bayloral. That's more
Yeah,
important.
that's what I was telling him. I said,
Yeah,
I think we're
that's
gonna
way more
stick with the
important.
Bayloral.
Yeah, way more important. Yeah.
Okay.
And the other thing, he can just inhale.
The Bayloral.
No,
Inhale. Anise.
like whatever you're going to use, yeah, or the
Oh, the Kava Kava.
berry sage or the petitgrin or the neroli, that he can just inhale. Spikenard,
Okay.
vetiver, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I got my oils today. Thank you so much.
Oh, good.
Oh,
Good.
and I sent you the booklet already, so
Oh,
you can review it.
are amazing. You are amazing.
All right. Thanks so much. Love you,
Thank
Greg
you.
and Sam.
Love you guys.
And then go ahead, Barbara, then Sahajnanda.
Hey, Barbara.
Hey there.
Hey.
Hey, so ever since the close of Saturday, when we did the Oneness with Oil protocol,
Mhm.
I've been kind of spacey.
Mhm.
And I feel like I can't get enough water in.
Okay.
My body suddenly let go of all the water it was carrying during the hot muggy spell. So I don't know if that's part of the, but I just feel like I can't hydrate enough and I'm a little spacey and my heart rate's a little bit elevated. Sitting here, it's about 80.
Your pulse is 80.
My pulse is 80. Pulse is 80.
Okay. And what do you know what your pulse is normally?
At rest,
Mhm.
between 65 and 72.
Okay.
It's
So
upper
it's a
60s.
little bit up. Yeah, it's a little bit up.
It
Okay.
feels, I can feel it being faster than baseline.
Right. Let me just look at you for a second. How's your breathing? Are you, let me say it like this. Do you feel like you're breathing faster than normal?
I hadn't noticed that, but maybe in this moment a little bit.
Okay. Let's just talk it out for a minute and like give you a couple options.
Okay.
So one, like any time that like the breath is starting to feel a little rapid, you can use something like spikenard, but an oil that works really well for that is a lang lang. And do you have a lang lang by chance?
I do.
Okay, so like inhaling lang lang, it will slow down the rapid breathing, and it is something that you would use for tachycardia. 80 is not tachycardia,
Right.
but it's still what you would use to treat like an elevated like heart rate. And so that should help you get down to kind of normal, drop it down your 10 points or so. I suspect that the breath got a little maybe shallow and a little bit like it's just you might just be breathing a little rapid. The other thing that you could do is like neroli or Petitgrin, how we were just talking about.
Mhm.
The neroli would be something you could use for tachycardia as well, and like heart related conditions. But I suspect it's probably tied more to your breath than to the heart rate itself.
Okay.
Um,
And these are all inhalation.
Yeah, you could just get away with inhaling. I mean, in extreme cases, I do have the person take a Lang Lang internally, but for this, you probably don't need to do it.
Okay.
The excessive thirst. What's the weather like there these days? Is it real hot? I know you guys get a lot of muggy weather, but has it been real
It has
hot?
been hot and really like 70 dew points in the 70s and temperatures in the high 90s, but that broke a day or so ago. So it's not as humid, although there's a new front coming in and it was 82 today.
Is
Today was 97.
your mouth dry or your eyes dry, anything like that?
Mouth's not dry. Eyes feel a little itchy, but I wouldn't call them dry.
Are you cramping at all or anything like that?
No,
No leg cramps or foot cramps or anything like that?
no, a few weeks ago I had some leg cramps, but that's resolved.
Yeah.
It's
And any blood sugar issues at all that you're aware of?
Well, I've run a slightly high fasting in the past from time to time. My postprandial sugars have always been fine.
Okay,
I haven't had it checked in a while, but
okay, but most likely it's fine. Okay, so
yeah, just
this is what I would do. Like I do the things that we talked about, and I would probably just drink something that has some electrolytes in it. Either add electrolytes to your water or get like what's that, Pedialyte or Ensure or whatever, even a Gatorade or something, and just see if that like calms it all down. I mean, in the more extreme situation, I would say, oh, maybe let's put you on Shazandra or let's check blood sugar, but I don't think that's probably the issue. I think you just probably have a little bit that you had a little bit of cramping even like a few weeks ago that resolved itself. It's probably a little bit of an electrolyte issue.
okay. I had some pretty significant pedalodemia that broke when the weather broke.
Okay.
It's almost back to baseline, but it was, I mean, it was practically pitting edema a few days there, but that seems to be on its way to resolving.
So are you on a diuretic
time I
or
had-
anything like that? Are you using a diuretic or on a diuretic or anything like that?
I have in the past, but lately I've been able to more or less control it without one, which I prefer to do.
Yeah, it's probably tied to some of that. So I feel even better with what we're saying, like do the electrolytes, and if there starts to be more swelling, we might want to put you on like some Shazandra for a little bit, just so your body uses the water instead of dumping it.
Okay.
And is there a cardiovascular issue? Like, is there any sort of cardiovascular issue that you're aware of?
I'm not aware of one. It's a lot of
Okay.
family history and my cholesterol's a little high, but I've had a couple stress tests and they've been fine.
Okay. And like when you say cholesterol's high, like below 250?
Yeah, 230, 40.
230, 240. Okay. Yeah, that wouldn't cause what we're talking about. Okay. Yeah, let's stick with what we're doing. Let's see what it does for a week. And then after that, if we need to do something different, we'll do that. But try the Pedialyte or the Gatorade or something like that, and slow it down with a Lang Lang and or Neroli, and you can mix in spikenard there, just long, slow, deep breaths, and see how that goes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I was
You're
taking
so-
Shazandra pretty regularly and I haven't done it for a week or so. I don't know if that's plays into this at all.
I mean, it it could, but let's just see what this treatment does for a few days. And if it feels like it's getting weird, like before even next Tuesday, let me know. But otherwise, let's just see how this treats you over the next week.
Okay, so it wasn't related to becoming one with the oil then?
I mean, you never know. But, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You know, that's the thing, is that practice does shift the physiology somewhat, and so the physiology can shift up a little bit in just ways that are unpredictable. It's usually not massive, but still, you know, you never know.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
You know, like your body could be like dumping excess fluid. And I mean, the idea with doing practices like that is it actually improves body function. And so sometimes the body goes into this mode of like, okay, got to clean things up a little bit. And you know, sometimes we're aware of those areas and sometimes we're not. And so let's play it out for a week and see.
Okay,
I
thank you
mean,
so much.
it doesn't sound like you're in a crisis. It just sounds like something's up. So let's treat it, see what happens. And if something gets weird, let us know. But if not, we'll reevaluate in a week.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
And then go ahead, Sahajananda. Then
Hey, Sahajananda.
Hi there.
Mhm.
I have a question, and it's about lovage. And the reason I wanted to ask it is I've been hearing so much about it from every course I've taken, and I have all these bits and pieces about it, but I don't really have a like an overall sense of, I ordered it. Now, what am I going to use it for? But I know that it's really good for a lot of different stuff. And so I was
Yeah.
hoping that you could just give me a good summary.
Sure. Yeah. No, it's a great. So lovage is one of the best ways to like topically clean up body tissue. Like, you know, so if you have inflammatory material like in a joint, in a hip, in your back, in your neck, you know, it's not necessarily like an anti-inflammatory itself, but as you go through and kind of clean things up, sometimes, you know, we put things on that are anti-inflammatory that help reduce the inflammation. And some of it is, there is inflammation and there's also inflammatory material there. And so the lovage just helps to clean up all that inflammatory material. Like German chamomile can do that as well, but they work a little differently. And so here it's just, it flushes things out of the tissue. So not just inflammatory material, but it also would flush out like lactic acid, which comes from like exercise or when a muscle gets fatigued and goes into oxygen debt a little bit, it produces lactic acid. And then there's like things like uric acid and just, you know, crystalline deposits in the tissue and the joints and things like that. Lovage is like the best thing to clean that stuff up. And you can just put it on topically and help flush that out. And so like say you have a bad hip, for example, you know, and you're putting things on there to reduce the pain, increase the circulation. Working lovage into that actually will make everything else work better because it's like you're cleaning everything up so that the other things don't have to fight the toxicity in the joint. And so, you know, even when you look at like muscle strains and sprains and things, I mean, a lot of it is the body is a bit toxic. And so you go through and you try to flush things out, but even then, sometimes there's just stuff stuck in the tissue. And so it's just a way to rapidly detox a particular area. And so with that, it also stimulates like kidney function. It helps the kidneys to function more appropriately. And it also has a bit of a diuretic effect. It is somewhat antispasmodic, but you know, it's not even the top 10 for antispasmodics for me. Like, you know, I would do a bunch of other things, but when you're cleaning things up, it does help reduce spasms or contractures in an area. So, I mean, it does have that component to it. And so just think of it as like a good like house cleaning. And, you know, it makes the body feel good. And I find that it actually makes the mind a little bit clearer, sharper. And I find that it actually even elevates the mood a little bit just because that inflammation and inflammatory material, just the debris that's in your body, sometimes is what weighs a person down a little bit or weighs down their mood. And so in times past, one of the things that I noticed that would improve somebody's mood sometimes was cleaning the skin. And, it just has to do with like biochemistry and things. And lovage, again, very good for that. And lovage is actually very good for the skin as well, kind of in the vein of parsley. You know how parsley is a good detoxifier for the skin. Parsley is a little bit better for the skin than lovage is, but still lovage applied topically still cleans the skin up a bunch. And so it's just a very good cleanser. We use it a lot in arthritic conditions where there's deposits in a joint or calcium deposits, things where there's a lot of accumulations in a particular area. The lovage works really, really well for that. And so I think like anytime you put it on your body, you'll just notice that like you get up the next day and everything moves a little bit easier. You feel a little more flexible. You feel like, how like normally you might twist or something and you go, yeah, that's my limit. And you put that on and it's not like it makes you more flexible, but it doesn't throw everything into spasm like it did. And part of those spasms sometimes is like the toxicity in the body. And so, I have spots that where severe muscles, there were severe tears in the muscle that never got repaired. And, I'll be fine for a while. And then there's times where like, there's always this little like glitch spot that like when I get up, because of the injury, for decades, like I could always feel that little glitch spot. I got to make it either past it or don't go that far. When I put lovage on for a few days in a row, I mean, I don't even think of that glitch spot. I don't have to manage it. I don't have to go, don't go that far, or I have to move past it, because I have this little spot where if I linger in that spot, my back gets a little triggered. And when I put lovage on, like it's not even daily, like it's literally like once a week maybe. I just don't have a problem. I just don't. Yeah. And so use it just as like a tonic. Use it as like a cleanup on like if you have an injury spot like a hip or shoulder or something that just gives you a little bit of an issue. Just put it on there like a couple of times a week. And, even in the body tonic, it doesn't even have to be in a neat application. It feels pretty darn nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to using this because I have heard so much about it now. And it just sounds like it's a general overall cleanser that you're going to come out of it feeling better in so many ways. So I haven't heard you talk about it at all till about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So it just seems like it popped up.
Yeah. Like, we kind of go through phases where we're processing like how to treat different things. And, like pain management for the notes and everything is always on my mind a lot, and like different ways to be as efficient as possible in treating like pain related conditions for people. And boy, I keep coming around back to that lovage.
I hear that.
Even like the thing that's kind of nice too is like work it into your feet. Like do your feet and then like with the body tonic, and then let it dry, and then put something like the Taggets or spikenard or vetiver or even marjoram on your feet after that, and your feet will be very, very happy.
Great.
Because like especially your feet tend to be more toxic than other parts of the body, and we tend to have more accumulations and more deposit oriented material in your feet, like in your heels and the ankle and the toes, and especially the knuckles. And so if you just rub it all in the feet, man, it feels really good.
Great. Can't wait to get it. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Yeah, you'll have to give me feedback once you get it.
Okay, I will.
And then go ahead, Ralph, then Chris.
Hey, Ralph.
Hey, This weekend in passing, you mentioned using clove for tooth problems.
Yeah.
What is the best way to apply clove for a dental problem?
I mean, I'll tell you how I do it, and then I tell you how I tell people to do it. right?
Okay,
So I tell people to put it on a Q-tip and like really soak the Q-tip and then rub it in. But
Yeah.
how I do it is I put several drops on my finger and then I just rub it on the spot.
okay. And
You
what
know.
do you use for a clove neutralizer while you're bouncing around the room backwards on your head?
Like it makes you like
It-
it burn or
Well, let's put it this way. I didn't notice that the tooth hurting anymore because the burning in the mouth was so overwhelming.
you can mix it with like a little massage oil. I've never had that issue. Like it gets a
You
little
lucky
bit
man.
tingly, but yeah, it's a little tingly, but like it doesn't like really burn. And so
Yeah.
like for me. So I
Mhm.
would maybe put like mix it with a little bit like jojoba or sesame oil
Okay,
and then rub it on the spot.
okay. Sesame or almond?
Right. Or I mean just any kind of oil. Like even if like you're using olive oil or something to cook with, just put a little bit of olive oil and then rub it on the spot.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah. Did it help after the burning went away? Did it help or
Well, like I said, I didn't notice the tooth anymore.
yeah. Clove is it was used in dentistry in the early part of the century. That's how they did the anesthesia was they would topically rub clove on. And I think it's somewhere in France right now. They're trying to come up with an anesthesia that is actually clove based because it's
Okay.
so like pain relieving, especially to nerve pain.
Mhm.
And then the other benefit of rubbing it on topically is that it's super antiviral or not
Okay.
antiviral, antibacterial. So it does help to reduce some infection or potential for infection.
Yeah.
The issue is that it can't get deep enough sometimes, like when there's like a deep abscess or something, but it does help.
Mhm.
But yeah, but it is, a little hot. It's
Okay, about a half an hour after I'd applied the clove, I made the mistake of touching my eyelid.
oh yeah. That
Um,
yeah. I
so
do that with cinnamon a lot. Like when I'm making blends, I get
Yeah.
cinnamon all the time.
okay. Anything we can mitigate the discomfort
Flush it
with?
out. Yeah, flush it out
Flush
with
it with
water.
water. Okay.
Cold water.
Cold water. Yeah.
Flush cold water. Thanks.
And the thing that'll get the oil off of your hand the fastest, so if you are applying with the oil, is your dish soap. So like if you're taking a salt bath, if you have oil on your hands, the dish soap or rubbing alcohol is what's going to take the oil off of your hand. So you don't rub your eye 30 minutes later.
Yeah.
Just that's a heads up for anyone. Because I get oil in my eyes plenty. So. All right. And then go ahead, Chris, then Kathy.
Hey, Chris.
Thanks, Sam. Hey, Greg.
Hey.
Can we touch bases on my neighbor? Okay, a lot of swelling in the feet. Would that
This
love
is the
it
one that's close to
in the
passing.
process? Yeah.
Yeah. So swelling in the feet.
Yep.
How close do they think he is to passing?
Well, the doctor said a week or so. Although when we saw him a couple of days ago, he was still going up the stairs. And there's a strong will there still to be in the
Okay.
body.
Yeah. Yeah, you could use that. You might want to use something like cedar, like in a like an alcohol or witch hazel base, and make it really quite strong, and then have him rub it on his legs multiple times a day.
Oh, okay.
That could be helpful as well. I mean, the issue might be also that sometimes the organs start shutting down. And so
Yes. Mm.
like the lovage would treat it more from the point of view of cleaning up the tissue and cleaning up the kidneys. And I still wouldn't throw that out the mix, but like here, I just try to get the blood to keep moving from those lower areas, and it is going to deal with some of the fluid. And
Mhm.
then the other thing is, it's cedar, so it increases the connection between the heart and the crown. And with him
The cedar nuts.
yeah, the cedar
Okay.
nuts.
Okay.
And with him getting closer to passing, it's an extra benefit.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
so,
His mood seems good and everything. Like he's maybe speaks
yes.
and everything. Okay.
Yeah, it seems so. So his mother is his caregiver, and she's going to be surviving all her kids after he passes. I gave her some Splendor spray just to help with the stress. Can't imagine that stress. Anything else you can recommend for the mom?
Ginger lily. Yeah, ginger lily. Do you have some ginger lily?
Don't think so. If I do, it's probably just the bottle.
I think we had it in a kit.
Yeah,
Which
I
means
think-
you'll have a few drops.
Oh, it's in the
or-
kit. Okay.
It's in,
Yeah.
it's
I'll
in a
look and see
kit.
what kit it is.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sam. Appreciate it.
Yeah. And she can just inhale that, but that will help like process and help with breathing.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And so I was speaking with a friend on the rose complex and frankincense Oman blend. So she is, she is preparing herself for a partner. That's part of her materialization goals. And she asked me to ask you if it would help her if she started using that oil now when that person is not in her
Yeah. It helps to
aura
attract,
yet, basically.
yeah. It helps to attract love.
Helps to attract love. Perfect. I will share that. And
So
then
even in a couple where they're together, it helps
Uh-huh.
to improve or escalate love, but it also, like for somebody who doesn't have a partner or something, it helps to attract love.
wonderful.
The other one that you could use to attract is tuberose.
His one.
Tuberose. Okay. Between the two, either one would do.
They do slightly different things, but they do both like work in that area. Like you
Okay.
could say the thing with tuberose is it has more to do with like in alchemy, they would say it has to do with spirit, which means that it has to do with like feeling, like how, like like not just how we have emotions, but like deep feeling. And so tuberose helps with that. But the thing that tuberose is really super good for is diminishing the back and forth that has to do with rejection. Like the tendency to reject, which is usually very unconscious. And then also the issue of being rejected. Like it's like you see, like in the Buddhist tradition, Avalokiteshvara, who's Kuan Yin, like has a big lei of tuberose around it. It's literally so that you don't reject the divine. Like even like difficulties in life, part of sometimes how we make it worse is we aren't present with it, we reject it to a certain extent. And so it's all about this idea of, it's not just like rejection, like, oh, you didn't choose me, or you broke up with me, or you went away. It's this like kind of dynamic that we have with the environment, and the environment with people or with earth or with nature, but also with divinity or with the soul is mm, you could almost call it like a little bit of a clinging to something that's like a structure of sorts, but it's like it's rejecting the flow of the creative process or divine intelligence. And so by like embracing that, or you could say diminishing it, it opens up for things to flow and come to you easier. And like you could say, like falling in love doesn't really take that much time if you have the right person in front of you. Like if you don't have the right person, it takes a while. But like when two people are like potentially a good match, that love component like grows very quickly. It helps to like attract that.
Got it. Thank you. And one
Yeah.
last question, Greg.
Uh-huh.
So a friend of mine, when I do healing on her, there's some movement of pain in different parts of the body.
Okay.
How do I freeze that? Is it by using this not Palo Santo, poplar spray?
You could use that, but I would also use galbanum. And the thing that happens is like pain is like a bunch of layered stuff, right? And so a lot of times what happens with pain is we have a primary pain, and then there's like secondary pain, third pain, fourth pain, fifth pain. And as you start to diminish the primary pain, like when you're feeling the primary pain, you don't really feel the secondary pain or the third level or the fourth level. But as the primary pain diminishes, you start to feel the secondary pain, and then that diminishes, and then you start to feel the other area. So it's not that it's bouncing around a lot of times. A lot of times it's almost like you're just becoming aware of these different spots that are hurting because the other pain has gone away. And so that's a very common thing to have happen when dealing with pain syndromes. You know, they'll say like, this pain went away, but now I have another pain, and it was always there. You just, you know, it's like if your shoulder hurt and somebody came up and stomped on your foot really hard, you kind of wouldn't be that aware of the shoulder because your foot hurt so bad. But then when the foot felt better, like you'd go, God, my shoulder's still bothering me. You know, it's a lot like that.
Oh.
And so galbanum should help reduce like the pain and the pain threshold, and like that birch complex, that should be helpful. But some of it is unwinding, and you could even throw in the trigger point blend, and that doesn't even need to be used topically. You can have them inhale it, or if you want to have them apply it to the joints of the arms and the legs. That can be
Okay.
helpful as well. Yeah.
So this also would apply to pain that almost like it's like traveling. It's almost like it has legs.
Like
During
traveling
healing.
down the neural pathway, or
No,
like give me an idea of what
traveling. Like for example, it started in the basic, then it went to the solar, and then went to the crown, and went to the shoulder, and
so it's in the chakras, or is it just those parts of the body?
just random parts.
But is it in the energy body, or is it like they're saying my solar plexus hurts, or?
Yes. I think it's more energy, but they can feel it.
Yeah. Sometimes things coming out can be a little uncomfortable.
Uh-huh.
I still go back to the galbanum and the birch complex that
Birch
can help.
complex,
Yeah, like when I'm doing deep purifications and I can feel some stuff coming out that's feeling uncomfortable. Those are my go-to things right there, and everything calms down and it just pops out.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
It could be that you're hitting something very deep, and as it's coming out, it doesn't always feel good, especially like if it's a old trauma or just some old deep like painful thing. They might not even know what it is, but as it comes out, it doesn't always feel good on the way out.
Right.
You know, if it goes
I
like this,
suspect that's what
like
it is.
not to get too graphic, but like when you've been constipated for a while and you sit on the toilet, it kind of
Mhm.
maybe not the most pleasant experience going to the bathroom. It's like energetic constipation. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? It's like it's been
Yeah.
stuck in there for a while, and it really can happen to anybody. But when it comes out, it doesn't always feel good. You know, just for a few minutes or maybe an hour or two, but still you want to make them as comfortable as possible. And so you don't even have to put Birch Complex on the areas, just like roll it on their wrist, put some on their wrist,
Okay.
or have them do the same with galbanum. Or like for me, I do both. Like I put a little galbanum on somewhere and I put a little Birch Complex, and I mean, it passes.
So before any healing, maybe I should do that.
Before or during, like if it starts to pop up like during the healing, you just
Yeah.
bam, you make that part of the, just roll it on their wrists. And
Got it.
I don't know, like some of the people, it might have been in Birmingham, but and I think it was Huntsville, like in Alabama. We were in the middle of a class one time, energy healing, and
Yeah.
students are working on each other,
Mhm.
and this woman who was a professional, like corporate person, she just started having a meltdown. And I went and I started sweeping the solar plexus and just like where she was congested. And I mean, it was just where she was having where she couldn't breathe because she was crying so hard. And I went over to my bag and I grabbed like an earlier version of the Birch Complex, and I went
Mhm.
over and I just like rolled it on her wrist, and she literally was like this. "Ah!" What was that? And it was just something was coming out that just was,
Wow.
very, very painful. And I mean, she's like stopped mid cry. And then the rest of the day, she was just fine.
Crazy.
But in the middle of it, I mean, she was like, she could barely breathe. And she was, sometimes the thing coming out, it's not as intense as it was with whatever was happening at the time, but it's still a piece of it. And as it's coming out, they still feel it.
Yeah.
And it will pass, but like the body and the mind aren't aware that it's going to resolve itself. It just feels like, ugh, and it's just uncomfortable. So like it's one of those go-to things where you just hit them with that a little bit, and it usually just calms everything down and it just pops right out.
I will do that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Greg.
You're so welcome.
And then go ahead, Kathy, then Deborah.
Hey, Kathy.
Yeah. Hi, I'm still struggling with my face pain. All of a sudden the antivirals aren't working. I take the Lysine
Oh,
that you recommended.
okay. What's the intensity?
Well, when I was on the antiviral, it was at least I started to take anti-seizure, but right now it's returning and the antivirals aren't doing anything. So I'd say right now it's like a 6, but it's gotten like over a 10. So I'm a little worried.
And so besides the pain and everything, stress levels are okay, like digestion's okay, sleep's okay.
Sleep's okay, and I feel stress is okay because I'm not really busy right now in my job. But
Okay.
I work with Microbiome to try to repair leaky gut. It's a company, I don't know if you've heard of it, but they do a lot of research on gut microbiome. And so I did a test and I got that back, and basically so they were saying I'm not digesting any of my food and that this pain can be a result of that. And they told me to take some enzymes and stuff like that. Everybody wants me to change my diet. I'm plant-based. So for a couple of days, I tried eggs. I mean, I made sure they were free range and all that. And then one day I tried goat cheese, and then I started getting kind of worse. So I took those out of my diet again. And then another diet was suggesting fresh juiced celery juice every day. So I did that for several days, but I stopped it because like the pain's returning.
Do you happen to have any myrrh?
I do not have myrrh. I have a lot of oils, but not myrrh.
Mute me for a second. Okay, so Samantha's going to reach out to you, and we're going to set you up with a little something and see how well this works. And so she'll reach out to you either tonight or in the morning.
Okay.
And we'll put something in motion. I have a suspicion about something, but let's play this out a little bit and we'll see. So she'll reach out to you and let you know what we're
Oh,
thinking.
I'm so grateful. But I do have one other question too, because
Sure,
in my constant research on like, what do I need to do for my body? Because I know it wants to, and I had to get it innately, it wants to always heal. So there's just something out of balance and stuff. So I saw this thing on castor oil packs.
Oh yeah.
Around the liver, maybe out the throat for thyroid, but my pain is so close to the throat. And I just wondered, first of all, where does it come from and what do you feel about castor oil?
Oh, I love castor oil packs. Yeah, yeah. Don't put oils on with it, but there was a couple of people where 2 people and 1 dog where I'm pretty sure that the castor oil packs that we did probably saved their lives. You know, this is many years ago. It was there was liver issues, and one was, God, what was it? I don't know. It was some like really severe health issue, and we just like, you know, let's just swing for the fences. We don't know. So, you know, we kind of did these Hail Mary things, and I mean, it pulled them all out of it. I mean, there's times where I did it and it didn't do that, but when they work, they really work. And so,
Yeah, the testimonies of this person was highly recommended, so I thought I'd give him a try, and I'm just
yeah,
so.
they don't always, it doesn't always work, but like when it does, I mean, it's usually amazing. And so, what's that Edgar Casey place?
Oh, yeah, I don't remember the brand, but yeah. Heritage.
Yeah, like if you Google like Edgar Casey, like there's an old company that used to sell all the supplies. Edgar Casey was really big on those, and they'll sell all the supplies like the castor oil, the wet. You do it with a wet heating pad, and then like the muslin and all that. They have all those supplies. It's all like
Okay.
ready to go. It's like 3 letters. It's like NAC or something, or
Yeah, I'll go on there and search it out because I you know, you've heard, that's why I bring it up all the time. I keep searching and I implement everything that I can implement.
I mean, I usually have used it more for digestive issues or back issues.
Well, they said I'm
Usually-
not digesting anything in that report, that I'm not digesting. So I
Yeah.
thought maybe that would.
The Heritage Store is the company I was thinking, but maybe you were
Okay.
thinking something else. But-
Samantha's saying there's a place called the Heritage Store that has some of their stuff,
Mhm.
but I mean, if you just put in Edgar Casey, like it usually will, I mean, it could be.
That's what I did, and that's what came
What
up, and
came up.
that was what I was thinking. And
Well,
Well,
it's the-
I'm pretty good at finding things. I'll find it because
Okay.
I'm, you know, I'm.
It might
I
be
wanna
what I'm
try
thinking of,
anything.
or it's Ara, not Aracacia, but Araqua or Ara. Yeah, what I'm thinking of might have gone out of business.
Okay.
I used to teach out of one of the Edgar Casey's schools, but centers, but it's been so long, I don't remember where it's.
I'll find something for sure. So.
Okay.
yeah. I'm
And
gonna
then-
for you here, but
And I totally am grateful that you're gonna reach out, Samantha. Thank you.
yeah, of course. And then go ahead, Deborah, then Sonia.
Hey, Deborah.
Howdy.
Hey.
I have a couple of questions. One of them was I was trying to make a salt scrub out of the lovage essential oil that I have,
Mhm.
and when I added the salt to the soap, and I just reread what you say for the salt scrub, it doesn't mention the salt, but I assume that you put salt in it because the ones I order from you have salt in it.
Yeah.
So, but it becomes like a block of like scrubbing soap. So I decided, well, let me put some witch hazel, something in it. And that seemed to help. And now I'm curious.
So what ingredients did you use?
I just used
Like salt and liquid soap?
and liquid soap, like Bonner's kind of soap, without any
Okay.
kind of fragrance to it. And
Sure, sure.
and then the essential oil. And it became like a rock solid lump of soap. So I added witch hazel to it, and that seemed to really help. So I'm curious, the texture and consistency of your salt scrubs are so wonderful. What am I not doing?
Using soap is a way to kind of do it like real easy. How I make it is I add glycerin. So like I'm just using like regular vegetable glycerin, and I add holy water to it. But other than that, the essential oil, and then you put a decent amount of the soap in there, and so you might have even needed maybe more soap. Like it almost like
Like I had too much salt to soap, you're saying?
Yeah,
probably too much salt.
It's
Yeah.
weird. I've done it so many times.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're doing
Oh.
the liquid soap to the salt, you're like, oh, this looks like a good ratio. And then
Yeah,
it just
it
turns
usually needs
hard.
more. Like I put a lot of glycerin in the salt.
Okay.
It's a
Okay.
lot. Like yeah.
Okay. Well,
And,
good to-
because the salt like naturally kind of soaks it up, and so like if it got kind of hard, it probably needed more. And another trick is like you did like the witch hazel, or you could add a little water to it to mix it up, but it probably needed more soap.
Okay. Well, my bathroom smells really wonderfully like lovage now
Like lovage, yeah.
because it's everywhere.
Right.
But this morning, I really did feel a lot of what you were describing to the person earlier. So I'm looking forward to being able to use it more.
Oh, with the lovage? Oh my God, it's so nice. Oh my God,
Yeah.
it's so nice. Yeah.
I paid a lot of attention to my feet because you had talked about doing that on your feet.
Mhm.
And it felt really good. So then my other question I have for you is, well, one comment, I followed up on my question I had, that disappeared on Sunday, right? And I finally got an answer. I didn't like it.
Oh,
the
got you. Yes.
Yeah. I didn't like the answer. So
Right.
I did the Twin Hearts meditation
Right.
to kind of move through it.
Uh-huh.
And I got this real strong, like, thing around my throat as I was going through it. And I was just curious. I don't know what that's about. But
It's probably a little bit of something expelling. Sometimes when something's coming out of the solar plexus, you'll feel it in the throat as well. And so it was probably a little bit of that. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
But as this Zoom has gone on, a lot of stuff, sadness, and it was just really weird, my response of my heart feeling the pressure and all. So I went and did the Gabalmum, because we were talking about that. And you had mentioned once before when I felt the pressure on my heart to do the breathing of the helichrysum. And I did both of those, and it really relieved it. Was that just a coincidence? Or
No, like that's
Okay.
pretty solid move. Yeah, that's a pretty solid move. Yeah.
Okay, great.
For you. Good for
Thank you. Well, it's all
You're so
you.
welcome. Yeah.
It's all you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then go ahead, Shadananda. Wait,
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Oh, great. Hi. I have two questions. One for me. So about 3 days before the full moon, I felt like I was just overcome with density. I mean, I went for a walk and it was like pure gravity just pushing against me. Got a little bit of relief the night after the full moon, but not full relief. And ever since the full moon, I've had recurrent vertigo. It's not constant,
Yeah,
but it just feels like I've been on a bad carnival ride. And lots of lower emotions prior, just those 3 days before the full moon and on the full moon,
Right.
just aggravated, frustrated, angry for no reason. Those have subsided, but there's still some anxiety there.
Are you doing any kind of meditation?
I just started increasing my meditation again last week.
And meditation you do Kundalini meditation or?
I
kind of-
have active Kundalini, but I don't do any specific type anymore, Greg. I just drop right in.
Okay, so you're just doing like a kind of a sustained awareness, or you're just kind of being still and going to a meditative state. You're
Yeah.
not circulating anything or moving things up or down or anything.
No,
Okay.
yeah.
So for the vertigo, I would use hyssop. Like you could rub a little bit on the abdomen or the chest, but definitely lots of long, slow, deep breaths. That usually will knock the vertigo out. A lot of times the vertigo can be a little bit of tension in the diaphragm, but also a lot of tension in the sternocleidomastoid, which is these two muscles that run like rope-like muscles from each side of the neck. And they'll have referred pain patterns that can cause some pain. They'll do things in the ear, but they'll also throw the inner ear off. And
Yeah,
so
my
the
teeth are
long-term-
sensitive and my ears are sensitive right
Yeah.
now.
the hyssop should help that quite substantially. The lower emotions. I mean, the hyssop might clear some of that out. Gilead I use to clean up some lower emotions. Anger, like chamomiles or yarrows can be like, especially chamomiles can be helpful with anger, but I suspect that it's just like getting stuck.
Mhm.
Which is just like it goes hand in hand sometimes with a meditation practice. You're fine, and then all of a sudden you get stuck, and then you're fine again, and so it's just something that can happen. Let me just look at you for a sec. What do you have? Do you have like something like vetiver or spikenard or?
Yeah, you suggested I use the vetiver on my temples and the back of my skull, for the diaphragm
Let's-
stuff
let's-
and the paradoxical breathing.
Right, let's have you use it on the arms and legs. Like
Okay.
either inhale it and go through the arm, the joints of the arms and legs, or dab it on the joints and inhale it. I think that will resolve the lower emotions.
Okay.
I mean, that's the thing with like emotion, meditation is that um, sometimes it can be a little bit triggering to the body, and sometimes you're flushing things out and it's like moving up and then it gets stuck.
Yeah.
And so anytime that things are moving up and get stuck, if you relax the arms and legs, it helps like the transmutation process and just helps it to continue to move up.
Okay.
And so I suspect that that's your issue.
Okay.
Like, it honestly, it can happen at any given time. So like, I just almost like have that stuff ready for you. Like when you're doing a meditation practice, it's just one of those things. It's like your little meditation emergency kit. Like if it starts
Oh,
happening,
okay.
just hit it, and then it will usually resolve itself for a little bit. Even if you don't have that, sometimes even lavender will do it.
Okay.
Just
Alrighty.
rub the lavender on the arms and legs, and sometimes it will resolve itself.
Okay.
Would
Thank
do
you.
before or after the meditation?
You could, so somebody's asking, would you do it before or after? You don't necessarily have to do it with your meditation, but if it starts to be an issue, I would do it, and you could do it before or after. It doesn't really matter, but maybe more emphasis on after.
Okay. Thank you. The other question is about my dad. So he started having short-term memory problems about 5 years ago, and in the last year it's gotten really bad. And so they haven't given him the diagnosis of dementia, but it's pretty clear that that's what's going on. And so he was on some medication to help, I guess, abate the symptoms, but the meds gave him some really bad side effects like frozen bottom jaw and incontinence and night terrors, and it slowed down the memory loss.
What did they put him on? I'm just curious.
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
So he's been
it
on,
was it a sleep med?
I think that was one of them, but
Yeah, that was probably the night terrors. The sleep
okay.
med.
So they've now, because of all this, the extreme of the side effects, they've stopped all the medication. And so now, like he still knows who everybody is and he can carry a conversation, but he doesn't remember like street names and people that he doesn't see on a regular basis. He doesn't remember their names anymore. So he's, I don't know. I mean, he's got dementia, and I'm just wondering if there's anything, not necessarily to get rid of the dementia, but just to ease his transition, so to speak.
Is there a lot of inflammation in the body?
Well, he has arthritis, so I'm sure there's some inflammation there.
What kind of arthritis does he have?
He has problems with his back. It's all in his vertebrae, the arthritis.
In his hips at all or anything like that?
He doesn't talk about these things, but it wouldn't surprise me if he does. I mean, he was a college football player and he's been an athlete his entire life. He just stopped working out when they closed the gyms for the pandemic, and he's 80.
Okay, so he played football. Like how long did he play football? I'm curious.
8 years.
What you remember? Did he ever talk about what position he played?
He was a defensive end, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I don't know a lot about football, but he was one of the guys out there tackling people.
I mean, like it's a little bit of a tricky thing. Like
Yeah.
whenever we look at like some dementia, there can be things going on in the brain, but sometimes it's actually more things in the body.
Uh-huh.
And so you look at like inflammatory conditions, like if there's inflammatory conditions in the gut, if there's like really bad arthritis, the spine, usually you look a little bit more for like a hip or a knee or both hips and knees or something like that, where there's a lot of inflammatory material being generated. Um, Energy levels, I mean, if he was working out a lot, he doesn't have a lot of fatigue given his age and everything.
That just started when he started taking the medication.
Okay, so I mean, you could try treating a couple of things and see if it reduces. Like that's the thing is, like sometimes this has been going on for a while, but the thing that I'd always like to see is like the reduction of any sort of inflammation in the body. So, things like black cumin, ginger, turmeric, things like that, taken internally. And if he doesn't want to do essential oils, some of that stuff you can find in the health food store, like a decent dosage, like not just a capsule, like I'm talking 4 or 5 capsules a day, like something where he's taking. The only issue with turmeric, if you just do turmeric by itself, if he takes too big of a dosage, he'll lose the taste in his mouth. So I usually mix it up, like I go like ginger and black cumin in a case
Okay.
like this. Turmeric is very good for the brain, so you could put it in the mix. And then I mean, sometimes you do things that like are for brain fatigue, but I don't think brain fatigue is an issue. I mean, you do something like rosemary, like have him inhale rosemary every day. I mean, it's not going to make it go away, but it is going to increase the blood flow. But the other thing that I put him on, and I like this sometimes for some issues like this, is that there's this mushroom called lion's mane. And you can get the capsules. I would actually buy it not in capsules. I'd buy it in like a powder form so that you can take a really big dosage and keep the cost down. The cost a lot of times with like things that like herbs and things that are in capsules is literally the capsule itself. And so like I would get some powdered lion's mane, who do we use? Shaman Shack?
That's what it is.
Well, we get it from a place called Shaman Shack. And you just buy like a powder, and then I mean we literally just like take a scoop and put it in a juice or coffee or something, and then just drink it, or tea. And you can take big dosages that way. And the thing is it's very good for the brain, and it helps to, like you could say, it helps to like rehab the brain a little bit. And it also helps to undo the effects of like when the brain has been toxic, like either when there's been lack of oxygen, or like a lot of times with dementia, the thing that I always like try to focus on is that there is, the potential of like an inflammatory material that has deposited in the brain, or like some plaque or something like that.
Yeah.
And it would help to undo some of that. I mean, they're actually studying that now to see if it can be treated for that. But I used to use it even for people that had like brain injuries. And, we'd go through and we'd do a bunch of things. And I mean, I would give them massive dosages of lion's mane, massive dosages. And it didn't completely correct it, but it improved it. Like, you know what I mean? It definitely improved it. And if you hunt around, you can even find places where you can buy fresh lion's mane and cook it up and cut it and eat it, or eat it raw, or like when we get it, we saute it up like you would do like a piece of meat or something, and you just make these
Yeah.
like little lion's manes patties, and it's delicious. Like it's it's not like crazy good, but it's got some taste to it.
Uh-huh.
And just from time to time, like big dosages of limonene, very good for the brain. And it would probably help, definitely wouldn't hurt, but here you just start treating things and you don't know. My concern would be that they talk about this with the football players all through the periods. It's not just that they got hit in the head, is that the blows to the body sometimes caused a little bit of jarring in the brain.
Yeah.
And I would think it would be more like a running back, a wide receiver, somebody who was getting blindsided or really hit, like the position your dad played. They're able to be tense and like go up and like hit. Like I don't know that it would be that super predisposed to it, but still with taking a lot of blows to the body, it's a little bit hard on the brain. And doesn't mean that that's what it is, but it's makes me curious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I would still use lion's mane for that. You know what I
Okay.
mean? I would use lion's mane, I would use rosemary after a period of time, like the turmeric, the ginger, the black cumin. And then over a period of time, I'd probably work sage into the mix. But basil is always a cerebral like stimulant, but I think there's something going on in the brain that we're wanting to address. So
Mhm.
you could have him take several drops of like 2-3 drops at a time of basil in water, and drink it. That potentially can be helpful. Yeah. The thing that I would also like, that's why I was also asking about the medications, is that Ambien is the thing that I was like wondering if he was on. And there's another one that's kind of like Ambien, and it's for sleep. And the one of the side effects sometimes is night terrors.
Mhm.
Like they'll start to have panic attacks and night terrors. But the other thing that is with Ambien is it's also a dissociative. It makes you kind of check out. It's how it makes you fall asleep, is you kind of check out, and then
Yeah.
you bunk out. That wouldn't be super helpful for like cognitive recall. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because it's dissociation, and people who have dissociative issues have a hard time recalling things to the point where sometimes they'll lose like periods of the day or an hour or two of time. That would contribute to that. And I see the value in increasing and improving sleep, but the dissociative component, it granted, not my area, pharmaceuticals are not my area of expertise, but I've
Mhm.
seen it happen, and we got them off of it and undid some of it, and some of those symptoms went away.
Mhm.
And so, I usually have them interact with their physician about like, get on a different med, get on something different, whatever it is. But if he's on a sleep med, make sure it's something that's not causing dissociation, because
Okay.
that will make it even harder for him to cognitively call something up. And so that it's not that it would contribute to dementia, but it would look like dementia, that he's
Mhm.
already having some symptoms. It would make it look like it's the dementia, but it's just dissociation.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So the black cumin and the ginger, you're saying like 4 to 5
Yeah, like a combination of it. Like I would say,
combo.
like,
Okay.
yeah, like do maybe 3 capsules of black cumin and 3 capsules of ginger. Or if
Okay.
he's doing some oils, like 2 or 3 drops of black cumin and then 2 or 3 drops of ginger in water, and call it time. For whatever reason, like I'm liking ginger for him. Like the
Okay.
black cumin, but I really like ginger for him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just the 1 scoop of the lion's mane powder
Yeah,
in
but
juice.
daily. Yeah, but
daily? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Keep us posted on that because we will, I'm sure we'll have to adjust it, but that's where I would start. You
Okay,
know, like sometimes with something like this, you start treating and then as time goes by, you go, okay, this is where we're at, let's fine tune it. And then a couple weeks goes by, then you fine tune it some more. And so
okay,
the issue why I was wanting to ask a bunch was sometimes the dementia can also be transient depending on how much inflammation is in the body. And so if that's the case, then it's all about managing the inflammation. If
you know,
it's not
unfortunately, he's pretty
transient,
consistent.
okay, then that means it's more brain.
Yeah. Okay,
So
thank you so much.
you're so welcome. So we're going to switch over to the Angel stream. And so we're posting the link and everything like that. And we'll jump over and thanks for the session tonight, you guys. And if you can, join us for the Angel thing. And if not, hopefully we'll see you on the weekend.
And I know we weren't able to get all of your questions. If you want to email me at Plant Prana Calendar, we'll do our best to get that back to you guys. But we'd love for you to join us here in the Angel practice session. And yeah, we'll see you guys over there.